Hi, boys and girls. Your old pal Stevie Coyle here, webcasting live right now from Mighty Fine Guitars in Lafayette, California. Thanks for tuning in. Give me just a second here. Let me invite some friends from another page to join us here. And oh, is it? Can you make a little adjustment there? Is it all right? Okay, good, good. I'll make sure and have the guitar up high. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. You know, today, just because somebody brought in a whole big box of instructional materials from the 60s and 70s, and you know what? It's all really bad. All that stuff we grew up with, it's wrong in several different ways, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But first, let me send this on over to, oh yeah, we've got, there's quite an obstruction there in the picture, isn't there? Did I? Yeah. Just bend that. Here, I'll let me do this and then I'll do that. We'll get things together here, folks, I promise. It'll take just a second. Share to a page. Share it there. Very good. And it's posted. Thank you very much. You know, Facebook cares about me and my memories. That's why they send me all these opportunities to send stuff over to other pages. So I'll send this over to my music page, recently renamed Stevie Coyle Music. Just it seemed like a logical thing to do. And here we go. That link goes in there, we hope. Paste. Great. Now all kinds of folks can join us here for our little lunchtime soiree. There we go. I think that's going to work.
How come you flipped it upside down?
And let's paste that. Post. Let's see if that works. All right. So, thank you for fixing that, Ducky. Oh, did you not? Oh, you know what? Maybe it's... Yeah, how about that? Is that better? Did I fix anything?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Very good. You want to get the whole picture here, kids. That's for sure. So, like I say, somebody brought in a whole box of instructional materials just because she wasn't going to use it anymore. And looking at it, I can understand why. It's amazing anybody got any guitar playing done in the 70s. The instructional material was often quite wrong. And here's, for starters, I have several books that are brought in here. We've got Beginning the Folk Guitar. We've got, you probably recognize some of these, Jerry Silverman's book in hardcover. This is probably an eBay bonanza. Poor gal does not know what she has surrendered to me. She doesn't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to get rich. Here's Abe and Malka. Remember Abe and Malka? Me neither. But here's their book, 100 Guitar Accompaniment Patterns. Patterns, ooh, man, great place to start, but busting out of the patterns is really kind of where it's at. But Abe and Malka could get you started here. They look very moody and very skinny, and I think somebody should buy them a sandwich and maybe some lithium. Well, here's a private lesson songbook by somebody, Bob Baxter. Look at these happy people. Wouldn't you like to be one of them? Oh my gosh. Get one of those hairstyles? You want to zoom in on that? Are you sure? Great. This reminds me, this cover in particular reminds me of that cover. It wasn't a cover, it was an advertisement in the acoustic guitar magazines, and I think probably in the electric guitar magazines, where it would be particularly hilarious. You too can have perfect pitch. Wouldn't that be great? You could order 6 or 7 CDs that would teach you how to have perfect pitch, and then you'd have to look like a guy who looked like this. Kind of John Boy Walton with the plaid buttoned up thing and this big goofy toothy smile. I don't know, ooh, spooky stuff. Well, here's Private Lesson Songbook. It's private. So I wish I could tell you more about this, but unless you pay $2.40, I'm afraid I will not divulge. And here's lots of 70s type people. Remember? Me neither. And here, this one, I remember this. I think I actually had this one. This was kind of cool, although I was instantly suspicious because this fella is folk style guitar. His hand is very classical posture. He's trying to pass off the fact that he's playing some kind of, you know, dominant 7th chord here. And it's, is he doing that?
Yes.
Is he really? No, 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 that's his ring finger. Much as it looks like his flippy finger, it's his ring finger. I don't know, that's hard. That's really difficult. I've hurt myself. So these books, this is one I've had in the shop for a while, and I've forgotten who brought this in, but all of this stuff. Oh, is this the one with the pictures? This one has pictures and a record. Oh my gosh, I should look through the stuff on my table more frequently. Here's Comprehensive Guitar Method with narration by Ralph Higgins, and guitar demonstration by Gerald Snyder. And this is about folks finger strums, folk strums. With the flip side, the B side was a bigger hit. This is finger strums. And I don't know what kind of device you plug this into. I think this is a laser disc or something. Yeah, that's right. Flat, flip, fly, straight, catch. Whee! All right. So there goes Jerry. Here's, this belonged to Mrs. Masters, which I'm instantly suspicious of. This is the teacher's manual, designed to teach the teacher. This is Comprehensive Guitar Method by Snyder and Higgins. Oh, and that's the record. My God, don't break that. I didn't realize what I was doing. This has photographs of people's hands, truly tortuous situations. It's kind of Spanish Inquisition sort of photographs of people's hands. And, no, it's not this book, I guess. It's one of these here books. Oh, Picture Chords for Guitar. Here it is, by Harry Reeser. Harry, I know this is how it was done back in, well, the price was $1.25. When could you get even this much blank paper for $1.25? I can't imagine when. And here's how to hold the guitar. Here's all the pictures you need. Now these pictures I don't object to, but after a while you get pictures like this of somebody holding a C chord with his finger tucked in so tight it looks horribly uncomfortable, and his wrist is really arched in a way that would be presumably acceptable or even desirable for classical guitar, which is a different instrument from folk guitar, or guitar, as Harry is teaching you. Some of these photographs, his pinky is tucked way in, he's got fingers tucked way out of the way, and I think perhaps in here somewhere there's a little codicil, there's a little explanation that says, now he's pulling his fingers out of the way so that you can see what's going on. Don't do what he's doing, but I've looked for it and I can't find it. I thought I saw it in here once, but I sure can't find it now. And this shows you, this book could be 7, 8, 12 times shorter if they didn't show you the same picture at every fret. This is a C diminished 7th. This is a C sharp diminished 7th. Here's a D diminished 7th. Holy smokes. Man, talk about padding the goodies. So, my biggest objection, and yes, I am going to play a little bit so you can hear some guitars, but my biggest objection is that all of these start you off in the key of C. Makes perfect sense on a piano because that means you can play just the white keys. You don't have to worry about the black keys. On guitar, that means that chances are if you're playing folk guitar, as folk was defined actually in the 60s, which was pretty much college kids in striped shirts playing log neck banjos and singing songs about mining disasters and high seas plunder. So if you were playing folk music back then, they'd start you off in the key of C. It meant you were playing 3 chords, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So whatever little lesson here, absolutely free. If you were playing in the key of C, C would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count right up the alphabet, C, D, E, F, and G. C, F, and G would be the chords you'd play. The C chord, the 1 chord would start you off. It starts the story. The 4 chord, something happens. The 5 chord kind of hits the reset button and takes you back to the next chapter that begins with C. So you've got this 1, 4, 5 thing going on. In fact, it's a very bad joke. But you didn't hear it from me, but it goes like this. How many folk musicians does it take to change a light bulb? Oh, 1, 4, 5. Same with blues. In the key of C, you'd be playing a C chord first, not too difficult. I'll show you. A C chord is not too bad. First position, campfire C chord. All these are campfire chords that all happen at that end of the world and are nice and big and loud, and you can play them down here in first position, which is another thing I always objected to. Why not start a student off capoed up the neck a little ways? That way the arm is in. You don't lose all that mechanical advantage by having your arm way out here. If you capo up and play your C chord here, you've got all sorts of mechanical advantage. Your elbow is in close to your body. You've got more opposition between your fingers and the long bones in your arm for making chords. It's not all about squeezing at this strange angle out here, at any rate. I digress. So you're going to play a C chord. Your 4 chord is an F chord, the aptly named F chord. It's difficult, it's really tough, and it's really discouraging. And I can't begin to tell you how many people have come in here or to Griffin, when I worked at Griffin Stringed Instruments in Palo Alto a few years ago now, and said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get back to guitar. Doggone it, I got scared off by that F chord. The first page of my instructional manual of my standard method showed you how to tune the guitar. I couldn't tune the damn thing. So I was screwed up on page 1. I said, heck with it, I'm going to go on to page 2. Page 2 showed you the C chord, the F chord, and the G7 chord. C and G7 were fine. That F chord, I couldn't play it. So I figured I wasn't a guitarist. Don't start with the key of C. I realize that most of us here are probably down the road a ways. This is kind of an advanced guitar shop, presumably. So if you're just starting guitar, find an instructional system that doesn't start you off in the key of C. The F chord is really difficult. Even the cheatsy ways to play F are still difficult to play and totally discouraging. This is the good advice that I got from David Lindley, of all people, who was just Davey. He was one of the kids that hung out next door to us when we lived in Los Angeles, California. And he said, you're not going to play your F chord politely like this with a bar. Starting somebody off with a bar chord, that's cruelty. Called Guitar Protective Services. C and G7 are just fine. They're a little bit stretchy. Your hand has to stretch a little bit, but this F chord, you have to hold multiple strings with one finger. Doesn't happen for most folks. Or even if you play it this way or even this way. Start off in the key of D. You've got shapes that give you open strings. It sounds really cool. You can play a million songs. I have spoken. So at any rate, the instructional materials. There's that fella online, what's his name? Jordan, Jason, Justin, they're all J names now. There were no J names except James when I was a kid. And now every other person, if I don't know somebody's name, like in a restaurant or something, I'll just shout out Justin. And more often than not, I'm right. So here's a basic guitar course for class or individual instruction by Dick Bennett. Dick, good on you, man. Start you off with key of C, you bet. No sharps or flats. Great on piano, not so great on guitar. This train is bound for glory. Sure thing. Guess my name, Tarara Boom Da, all the hits right here. You know. So these are all up for grabs. If you require some instructional material or just kind of some good giggles, music through the guitar. It's like music despite the guitar might be the title of this. That's really cool. Come on, Fred. Fred Nance and Marianne Godla. General Words and Music Company. Oh, that's great. Copyright that. Words and Music Company. Finger numbers on the left hand, numbers on the right hand, sure. It's all so, there's tremendous redundancy one to the other. Oh, I'm blocking the microphone, I'm sorry. Kumbaya, come by here. Oh, I wish I had it out. I put it away because I was going to frame it at some point. Here's Kumbaya, which is, presumably a song of African descent. Maybe the St. Louis Jesuits brought this to us, I think. God bless them. And I have this, actually some sheet music for Kumbaya in the key of E flat, which I think is just great. That's high hilarity. Somebody had a good time putting that together. And I'll dig that up for you and show you next week. Well, enough of the instructional materials. Now, all of this is not by way of a commercial, but I do give guitar lessons. And so if you're kind of down the road a little bit, the only people I can't teach online because it just doesn't work are kind of raw beginners, because I got to be there in the same room to kind of wrestle your fingers around on the fingerboard. And that can't happen in the virtual realms. But for anybody else, lessons online really work. So hit me up, Stevie at mightyfineguitars.com. Come on over, we'll do some lessons. I've got students in New Zealand, have students in Switzerland, all kinds of places. Milpitas, it's unbelievable where the internet reaches. So, this guitar, I'm sure you've been wondering, what is that gorgeous guitar Stevie's holding there? This is a guitar by a fellow named Randall Kramer. Sparky, everybody calls him Sparky. He says, only my mother calls me Randall and only when she's mad at me. And he built this guitar. The feature on this, of course, ostensibly, is the inlay on the neck, which is, the fingerboard is just unbelievably beautiful. and fantastic. And I think he did this, if I remember correctly. He said, well, you know, folks are saying, Sparky, your guitars are really great, but they're very plain. Why don't you do, can't you do some inlay? I said, can I do some inlay? So he kind of went crazy on this guitar, which is a beautiful and different instrument. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was alternate woods, woods that aren't mahogany, back and side woods that aren't mahogany or rosewood. A lot of people say if it ain't rosewood or mahogany, I don't know what it is, but it ain't a guitar. This is myrtle wood. Check that out. It's gorgeous and it sounds great. It's really stiff. You can make it really thin. It's very resonant. And he's actually made the body nice and slender as well. The top, much as it looks like spruce, is called Port Orford cedar. Oh, I'm in the way of the mic again. It's called Port Orford cedar. And boy, it sounds great. This one has a little sound port here so that you can hear the guitar better as the player. Some singers don't like this actually, but I sure do. You get to hear the guitar a little bit better. Excuse me. I think there's an elephant giving birth next door there. Maybe it's a trombone. This is, it's also a great way to take a look inside your guitar and to see how absolutely pristine and gorgeous and downright architectural Sparky's work is here. That is delicious. I hope it comes through in any way at all. And if anybody's online and can tell me whether or not the sound is too hot or too soft, do let me know. And do let me know, Ducky. This, folks, how about a hand for Miss Valerie May? My own dear Valerie May. She-Gore, mistress of the machines, personing the the devices over there. She's taking the applause in her own special way. She's just as God made her. Fabulous thing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Some sort of unholy marriage of While My Guitar Gently Weeps and Stairway to Heaven. Good heavens. But it kind of works. I'm going to have to work that up. something I've been working on, but I smell a hit. So this is Sparky Kramer. If you got any questions, any comments, any shouted invective, just type it right into your browser there, and it'll pop right up. And Ducky, do we have any questions? Question in the back?
Any chance of hearing that Propsom tricone reso?
Oh, sure. You bet. Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's what won me Miss Universe back in odd 8. 1908. The Propsom tricone resonator, it's right over here. It'll take me just a second. I'll be right back, kids.
This one?
It's very heavy. You have to lift with both legs.
This one?
Yeah, thank you. Isn't that heavy? Yeah, that's a beast. There's a gentleman who builds guitars up in Vancouver. Oh, yeah.
The guitar is made by?
The guitar that I was just playing, Sparky Kramer, Kramer. Capital K, small r, small a, small m, small e, small r. Sparky Kramer. This hasn't been tuned in a while. I think I'll get radical and do that. There's a gentleman named Michael Propsom in Vancouver, Washington, right across the border from Portland there. Some people unkindly refer to it as Vantucky, but it's all right if he's in it. Wonderful builder. This is a beautiful, gorgeous thing. And I'll swing it into the tuning kind of where it really belongs. It's kind of an open D tuning. I'm shouting over it because it's really loud. There are, I say, this is what was happening with guitars in the 1920s and into the 30s before electricity really hit, to make them louder so that they compete with drums and trumpets and trombones and all those rude outdoor instruments that somehow found their way indoors. This is, guitars are kind of designed for indoors. But this is what was happening. This, down here, on some guitars, there's a single big hubcappy looking thing that's a resonator. It's essentially a mechanical amplifier. Well, this one's got 3 of those, and each one lives at one of the termini. Catholic boys, man, we got the Latin right there. At these points right here, there's a circle of resonation there, there's another one here and another one here, and the 3 cones never respond to a string vibration in exactly the same way. So there's all kinds of cool reinforcement and cancellation patterns going on that give the guitar a real sweetness, a really sweet, sweet sound. Well, this was all kinds of out of tune. Another question? Folks, if you are not familiar with Teresa Tuduri, T-U, capital T, small u, D-U-R-U-Y. T-U-D, I can't spell unless I'm standing up. Tuduri, capital T-U-D-U-R-Y. An old spelling bee holdover. And yes, just because there's nobody else here to brag on this, I'll have to brag on it myself. I won the school spelling bee when I was in 1st grade. Total nerdism. Thank you. Finally. Good heavens. 55 years later, finally get the applause I wanted for having won the school spelling bee. It was a strange thing. I could not throw a spiral football, I still can't, but boy could I spell, and I still can. And it's really disturbing because I'm one of this strange kind of perverse sense where a whole giant menu, maybe a Chinese restaurant with thousands of items, my eye will instantly go to the one word that's misspelled. What good does it do anybody? Because the thing is already printed. You know, what, they're going to stop and reprint the thing just for me? Yes, more questions.
Any chance you know that's that song, Brownie or
Harvard Hernger? Do you know, I don't know well enough to play it, that's for sure, but I do know, do you know, can you pull it up there? If I can hear it for a second, I can probably play it. I just can't summon it, especially since I've got St. James Infirmary stuck in my head. And that's only there to do battle with the trombones that are going off like howitzers in the back room here. So I kind of that has gotten stuck in my head. I say, who needs an amplifier? Did you find Braun Ear Hour? Oh. Bust up, fatang, fatang.
That's somebody else.
That's a different tuning. That's an open C tuning. Yeah, we can do that another time. I'll play some Braun Ear Horg another time, but that's a different tuning altogether. And I should probably set up, I'll do that next week. I'll set up one of the 12 strings to do that, and I'll stumble through that. So whoever that is, who requested that? Would that have been Dr. Bagger by any chance? Oh, just curious. Mike Campobello. Mike, tune in next week. I'll see if I can have Braun Heard for Fatang Fatang for you next week. Song. I should learn that one, actually. But this one is kind of all set up for some slidey action. Let me see if there's a particular slide. Hello. Hello. Test. 1, 2. Here it is. This is a company called Big Heart, and they make slides that are slightly flared. I've forgotten what kind of bottle this is. This is an actual bottle that where the neck has been whacked off, and there's a little bit of camber to it, which is really nice. It kind of matches the camber of the fingerboard here on Michael Propsom's fine tricone. Tiki torches at twilight, hula girls at the bar, all the guys from the office are pulling up in their cars. Get to cooking a roast pig like it's done in a dancing march. Say hello to your sweetie with a casual look. Swinging deals and eating meals is all in the moon. Away the axes and pay those taxes. Let's all get normal at the luau. Sing tiki torches at twilight, hula girls at the bar. All the guys from the office are throwing up in their cars. Oh, was it good for you too? Well, this is Michael Propsom's lovely, lovely guitar. And he's got another one in here, a little teeny one that I'll feature next week. We'll have a little Propsom Fest next week. He's got a little O model that, or size 1, it's a size 1, a real live parlor guitar. Well, kids, I think that's about all the time we've got today, but thanks for stopping in and having a little sandwich break with us. Tonight, let's see, I should mention that here at Mighty Fine Guitars, Saturday night, tomorrow, the 20th, we'll be featuring the redoubtable Bill Evans and his Banjo in America show, which is really something. Even for non-banjophiles, the banjo show that he puts on is fantastic. It gives you the history, some of the cultural influences. He plays all kinds of different styles. He's very entertaining, very humorous, engaging gentleman. Stop on in if you can. That's tomorrow night right here at Mighty Fine Guitars. We may or may not. I'll consult with Bill Evans and see BillEvansBanjo.com, I think is his full name. I'll consult with him and see if he wants to do a little webcast of that, but you wouldn't get the full import unless you were here. So come on down tomorrow night and check out Bill Evans's Banjo in America show. 8 o'clock here at Mighty Fine Guitars, 85 Lafayette Circle in bucolic, Lafayette, California. No RSVP is required. Bring your own bottle of wine. Babes in arms are discouraged. Kids are okay, but babes in arms, not nearly as much fun as you would think. So stop in if you can. We may be webcasting that, we may not, we'll see. Tonight, if you're in Fairfax or Marin County adjacent California, stop on into the Wu-Wei Tea House. It's really fun to say, and apparently it's really cool to be there and to listen to music. Taya Gherkin, he formerly of acoustic guitar and currently from Peghead Nation. Y'all know Taya. He and I will be sharing a bill over there tonight at 8 o'clock at the Wu-Wei Tea House in Fairfax, California. So stop in if you can. Wu-Wei? Wu-Wei, 2 words. I'll see if I can do it sitting down. Yeah, I know. I typically have to stand up, yeah. All right. Wu-Wei, capital W-U, new word, capital W-E-I. Tea House. T-E-A. T-E-A, yeah. So stop in if you can. It'll be really fun. We'll do all kinds of alternate tunings. Taya's going to bring 3 guitars. I may bring 2. I might go crazy and bring 2 whole guitars. And that's it for this week, kids. Tune in next week for another thrilling adventure. Look forward to seeing you. If you have any questions, any comments, if you want to run over to the website and see what's in stock, it's ridiculous what's in stock right now, especially bluegrassers and kind of folk types that never did get their hands on a dreadnought guitar. I'm loaded. The place is lousy, if you'll pardon the expression, with dreadnought guitars at the moment. Beautiful old Martins from the 60s all the way back to the 30s. I've got 2 Dana Bourgeois. Check it out. Dana Bourgeois. I've got 2 dreadnoughts of his in here, a Country Boy and a fully torified. There's a Santa Cruz dreadnought pre-war. There's 2 D28s, Martin D28s, and 2 Martin D18s. It's astonishing. There's a wonderful guitar at a huge discount by a fellow named Richard Scholler that's made out of koa, beautiful koa guitar, dreadnought size. So if you can wrap yourself around a dreadnought or don't mind playing standing up, come on in and check me out. There's all kinds of great small guitars in here as well. I've got, strangely, a Tacoma bass, one of those Thunder Chief basses from the 1990s, way back then. And there's all kinds of strange and startling stuff in here, so do stop in if you can. Look forward to seeing you. And there's more behind the camera as well. Indeed, there's even there's a mandolin, a Weber mandolin, and a beautiful custom mandola, which is absolutely gorgeous, worth the price of admission alone just to come and look at the thing. It's like a museum piece. It's fantastic. There's a bunch of resonator guitars as well. I've got 2 Nationals, the Michael Propsom. I've got a Weisenborn guitar in here. I've got a Hawaiian lap steel from the 30s and Oahu. There's all kinds of stuff. And I do have Tony Yamamoto's, you bet. This is the wall of Yamamoto back here. I do indeed. There's the Talus, which is the most popular model in this shop by far. Fantastic, comfortable, wonderful sounding, easy playing, lightweight guitar, perfect to be a sofa sweetheart, as they say. Something you can play sitting on the couch watching sports or Netflix. There's also an OM, kind of his entry level, but this one's kind of beefed up. It's got a cutaway and features a Bags pickup system in there. And that big boy over on the right there is a baritone guitar. And if you've never played a baritone guitar, which is super long scale, really heavy strings and tuned down, so that instead of the low and the high strings being E and E, this is B to B, below the E. Fantastic sounding stuff. Totally refresh your playing to spend a few days, a few weeks, a few years with a baritone guitar. I got them. So stop on in if you can. Your old pal Stevie Coyle here, signing off from Mighty Fine Guitars in Lafayette, California. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was easy.